I'm going to remarry an 18-year-old girlfriend. You're in the way, so get lost. You're saying you want a divorce, right? That's what I'm saying. Come on, don't joke about stuff like that. You've all treated me poorly for so long. It's too late to panic now that you're faced with a divorce. What? We're not panicking. We're mad that you're the one who first mentioned divorce to Mom. Lower your voice. How can Mom stay so calm about this? I'm mad too. All right, should we get a divorce then? Oh, you're going to grant me that. Makes things easier. Wait, Mom, are you sure about that? After handling the upbringing of our 3 kids, their extracurriculars, managing household chores, and taking care of my father-in-law, my husband suddenly demanded a divorce. I agreed to it without much resistance, which shocked my daughter, making her raise her voice even higher. My husband celebrated, raising his fists in joy. My daughter doesn't seem convinced by what I said, but that's okay. If everything goes as I expect, things should work out. Even after blocking his calls, my ex-husband showed up at our home a month later. I'm a 37-year-old part-timer, and I got married to Bob, who's 2 years older than me after an unexpected pregnancy. After marriage, we were blessed with 2 children. Our 13-year-old daughter, Katie, is now in middle school, and our first son, Jake, has turned 6 and started elementary school. With 1 child in middle school and another in elementary, one would think the most hectic parenting days are behind us. But 2 years ago, our younger son, Tim, was born. So we're still deep in the parenting chaos. However, I have strong support, so I've managed to juggle household chores, parenting, and work. Yes, you had it. Prepare it yourself. I'll get ready after breakfast. Didn't you forget to take it with you last week? Prepare it first. Seeing me always hustling and bustling, my daughter naturally started to back me up. She's already showing signs of being a strong-willed mother figure, and it's honestly a relief to have her helping out. I'm admittedly relying on her a bit too much, but sometimes I feel ashamed to rely on my child for parenting support. However, leaning on my daughter is due to me working, parenting, and also taking care of my father-in-law. Mary, I'm sorry, but I need to go to the bathroom. Can you help me? Sure, let's stand up slowly. I always feel bad asking for help. My father-in-law always looks apologetic towards me, but I've never found him to be a burden. Although people call it caregiving, my father-in-law just has weak legs, and with some support, he can manage his daily tasks by himself. So it's more about support than actual caregiving. However, my father-in-law, Ken, is 70, and my mother-in-law is 68. My mother-in-law can't support my father-in-law by herself, so for about 3 years now, our family has been living with my in-laws. Living with in-laws can often lead to disputes, but luckily I've stayed out of it. Welcome home, Mary. Thanks for your hard work at the part-time job. Lunch is ready. You'll eat right. Thanks, I'll have some. I really appreciate it. Don't mention it. Oh, by the way, I noticed Jake's school shirt had a missing button, so I fixed it. I hope it's okay. I went ahead and did that. You fixed it for him. That helps a lot. Thank you. My mother-in-law often helps out with housework and taking care of my children. In addition, my father-in-law enjoys spending time with Jake when he gets home from school. When I was pregnant with Tim, I don't know what we would have done without their help. Ironically, even though we moved in to help my in-laws, it feels like they're the ones supporting us more. I often feel indebted to my in-laws for this, but they always reassure me that there's no need. I really appreciate you, Mary. Living with your spouse's parents can't be easy, but you've taken it in stride. That's right. I can't manage Ken on my own. Besides, we love being able to live with our grandchildren. You might think we're helping out, but we genuinely enjoy doing these things. It's been 3 years since we started living with my in-laws, and while there have been busy moments, life has been fun. However, there's one thing that worries me. Over these 3 years, I've noticed a gradual change in my husband's behavior. One morning, it was the usual scene. Didn't you forget to give out the paper yesterday? I always tell you to do it properly. I just forgot yesterday. Okay, Mary, when you're heading home from your shift today, could you pick up some sewing thread from the store? Sure. Could you also buy me a new nail clipper? The one I'm using now has become dull. It seems my husband doesn't care much for this mundane scene. You have it good, don't you? You help with the housework and taking care of the children. How can you say that? You probably don't know, since you don't help, but both housework and childcare are challenging. Plus, I have to go to work as well. You're just working a laid-back part-time job, aren't you? What's gotten into you, Dad? Taking your frustrations out on Mom. It's not like that. There are folks who handle housework, childcare, and their jobs all by themselves. I just want to say you have it too easy. My husband left his toast untouched and left for work. I sometimes face complaints from my husband. It seems he's displeased with the fact that I get help from his parents. But thanks to Katie being on my side and my in-laws backing me up, my husband often reluctantly steps down, perhaps feeling uncomfortable being the odd one out. My husband started spending less time at home. Welcome back. You're late again today, huh? I don't need dinner. I'm going to take a shower and go to bed. My husband started coming home later and began spending weekends on his own. Even though the lack of support from the family is his own doing, he's sulking about it. It feels like we have a fourth child in the house. But remember, he's a grown man nearing 40 and a father. We can't have him acting like a child forever. I don't mind if you don't help with housework, but could you at least assist a little with childcare? Why don't you ask my mom or someone else? Didn't Katie start attending swimming classes? She comes home late, so I pick her up. And Jake joined a soccer club, remember? It's fine during regular practice, but there are times during the weekend when I have to drive him a bit farther for friendly matches. I can't ask her to do that, can I? I'm not doing any pickups or drop-offs. Why do I have to do that after retiring from work? Even late at night or on my days off, you work part-time and can drive, so you should handle it. If I'm busy driving the kids around, who's going to manage the house? I'd end up relying on your parents even more. I understand you're tired from work, but help out a bit, won't you? Didn't you promise to support when they started their activities? If you can't handle the pickups and drop-offs, maybe they shouldn't be doing those activities. My husband's complaints aren't just directed at me. He's frustrated that our children don't take his side either. Sometimes it feels like my husband is the most demanding child of all. I can't ask the kids to quit their activities, so I decided to handle their pickups and drop-offs myself. But I can't keep leaning on my in-laws more than I already am. I made sure not to increase their burden, but the drive takes about 1 to 2 hours. This affects the efficiency of housework and childcare. To compensate, I wake up early or cut down on sleep to get everything done. I use every spare moment for housework and childcare without a break. Even with a body exhausted from all this, I also go to my part-time job and continue supporting my father-in-law. I can't keep pushing myself indefinitely. When I talked to my husband again, he said, "Didn't I tell you?" I'm not doing the pickups and drop-offs, and flatly refused. So I've continued doing it all, hiding my exhaustion. When I get home, my daughter Mary asks, "Are you okay? Isn't the drive tough?" I force a smile and say, "I'm fine. I'll get dinner ready." I can't rely on my in-laws more than I already do, even though it might be better. But that's just not who I am. Then bad things kept happening. My father-in-law passed away from a heart attack in the hospital. Katie, my mother-in-law, and I shed tears while Jake looked down with tears in his eyes. My 2-year-old son, Tim, doesn't understand the situation and looks puzzled. My husband was nonchalant about it all, saying, "Well, Dad was over 70. It's a part of life. Let's think positively. No more helping him with the bathroom or bath." His comment was incredibly insensitive, but our sadness was overwhelming, so we ignored him and mourned our loss. The emotional distance between my husband and our family grew further. 2 years after my father-in-law's passing, my husband continues to act recklessly. He doesn't help with housework or childcare, and I'm still the one taking our kids everywhere. The trips to drop off and pick up Tim from preschool have increased. He comes home later than before, sometimes not even returning on weekends, and he's been reckless with money. "Did you spend money again?" I ask. "It's fine, isn't it? Most of it is money I earned anyway," he responds. "We have 3 children. We still need money. Stop wasting it," I say. "Enough. Just keep quiet and take care of the house," he snaps. Our relationship has grown ice cold. We haven't divorced mainly because of our children and my concern for my mother-in-law. She sometimes tells me it's okay to leave him, but I can't bear the thought of leaving her with him. A turning point came when my mother-in-law suffered a stroke. Though her life wasn't in danger, she was left with cognitive impairments. She mistakes memories from years ago for recent events and repeats the same stories. Katie has been a huge help with caregiving and housework, and seeing her, Jake started helping by taking care of Tim. This is what supporting each other in a family means, but my husband's support isn't part of this. "Why doesn't that guy help out at home?" Katie asks, frustrated. "I'd rather not have him interfere," I say. "My husband continues to come home late and goes out on weekends. While his spending is an issue, I'm not interested in what he's doing outside, so it's better if he remains indifferent." About 6 months after my mother-in-law fell ill, my husband dropped a bombshell. "I'm going to remarry an 18-year-old girlfriend. You're in the way, so get lost." I was so shocked that I couldn't speak. Even with help, I've been managing household chores, raising our children, and working. I took care of his father and am still caring for his mother. Why would my husband, who hasn't helped with anything at home or with my in-laws, suddenly ask for a divorce? And now he says he's going to remarry an 18-year-old girl. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't understand what he was saying. "So you're saying you want to get divorced?" I asked. "That's right," he confirmed. "Don't joke about this," I said. I thought Katie was asleep, but she was awake and overheard our conversation. She burst into the room, unable to hold herself back. "You've always treated me poorly," my husband said. "It's too late to get flustered now that I've asked for a divorce." "I'm not flustered. We're mad that you're the one asking Mom for a divorce," Katie retorted. Her anger was so intense that I couldn't talk to my husband. It's nice that she's mad at him for me, but at this rate, Jake and Tim might wake up. "Katie, don't raise your voice," I said. "How can you stay so calm, Mom? I am mad too, but first let your dad and I talk. You go back to your room." "No, I'm still here," Katie said, crossing her arms and glaring at my husband, showing no intention of moving. "It's not ideal to talk about divorce in front of my child, but sometimes it's unavoidable." "So you were always coming home late or going out on weekends for that girl, huh?" I asked. "Yeah, I've been seeing her for about a year now. She's a waitress at my favorite local pub. Unlike you, she's nice and sweet," he said. "That sounds like an affair rather than just dating. She's too young, isn't she? Are her parents okay with this?" "Her parents are against it. If she marries me, she'll be disowned," he replied. "How are you planning on getting married without her parents' approval?" I asked. "Doesn't matter. We can get married. We've been waiting for this for a year," he said. I tried to address the human connections and morals, but it felt like I was talking to a brick wall. At this point, I couldn't care less about the divorce or the affair. What worried me was what would happen to my mother-in-law after the divorce. I glanced at a photo of her on a shelf in the corner of the room. Seeing her smiling face brought me relief, and I remembered how she always told me it was okay to let go. "All right, shall we get a divorce?" I asked. "Oh, you're willing to divorce?" "That makes things easier," he said, looking elated. "Wait, Mom, are you sure about this?" Katie asked, raising her voice in surprise. "It's okay," I said, trying to convey with my eyes that there was more to this decision than met the eye. Katie seemed to understand my feelings, but my husband didn't catch on. We've decided to get a divorce, but with children involved, there are still many details to discuss. So I can't leave the house right now, I said. Of course, you can take the children, he said. Absolutely. In fact, take them. They're in the way, such a hassle. Got it? But I can't just leave with them right now. Give me a moment, I said. Fine, you can stay here until you find a place to move. I'll be with my girlfriend till then, but make sure to leave in 2 weeks, he said, leaving the house happily. Katie looked at me anxiously. Don't worry, honey. You really think a man like that can be happy? I bet Grandpa up in heaven will make sure he gets what's coming to him, I said, trying to ease her worries with a reassuring smile. Seeing me smile, she gave me a slight, relieved smile in return. The next day, I reported my decision to divorce to my mother-in-law. I'm sorry, but I've decided to get a divorce, I told her. It's all right, dear. I'm sorry for all the hardships till now, she said, though I'm not sure if she fully understood the gravity of the situation. Her words were a comfort to me. 2 weeks later, I left the house with my 3 children. We moved to a place not too far from my hometown to avoid transferring the children to a different school and to continue my part-time job. The divorce went smoothly since I didn't bring up his affair. I decided not to press on about the affair because getting child support without any hiccups was more important to me. In exchange for not bringing up the affair, he agreed to pay child support. Eager to start his life with his 18-year-old new wife, my ex-husband Bob didn't think twice about the long-term implications and accepted my terms. How long do you think he'll last? Katie asked. 2 months, I'm guessing, I said. A month. You think he's that weak? Surely he can hold out for at least 2 months, she said. I explained to Katie why I divorced him without making a big fuss. Understanding my reasoning, she looked forward to the day he would falter. A month after the divorce, I got a call from my ex-husband on my cell. See, it's been about a month, right? Katie said. Not yet. I don't think he's at his breaking point, so let's watch for a bit longer, I said. From then on, my ex-husband called me incessantly, almost every 10 minutes during the night. With all the calls, I couldn't relax at home, so I blocked his number. He had my address, so if he was desperate, he'd come to my house. A month after blocking him, he finally showed up at my door. Please come back, I was wrong. He pleaded loudly through the door. Given it was nighttime, I didn't want to stir up gossip among the neighbors, so I reluctantly let him in to hear him out. I left Tim with Jake and sat with Katie to listen to his story. I'm guessing I already know what happened, but can you explain? I asked. After you left, I started living at my parents' home with my girlfriend and mom. He began. Let me guess, your girlfriend couldn't handle taking care of your mother and gave up. I interrupted. Yeah, I didn't think she'd bail so easily, he admitted. Even Katie managed it when she was in middle school. Caring for an elder isn't about guts, it's about love and commitment. Katie and I cared for your mother because we are family. You thought some girl would just step in and take care of your mother because you told her to. I said, Did you dump all the housework on her? Katie asked. Anyone would get fed up, especially an 18-year-old. I added, So did you two break up? No, we weren't even officially married yet. We were planning it on our anniversary, he replied. It's a blessing in disguise for her. She dumped you just like that, I said. From my own experience, I knew young women sometimes find older men attractive, but the reality of marital life and taking care of an elder can be overwhelming, especially at 18. I doubted he had prepared her for the reality. Her parents are taking her in. What do you mean they're taking her in? I asked. Well, if your wife runs out on you, you chase after her, right? But her parents are saying she's scared and that I shouldn't come around anymore. They even threatened to talk to a lawyer, he explained. A 40-year-old man pressuring an 18-year-old girl is indeed scary. Her parents protecting her was natural. Consulting a lawyer showed they were serious. I couldn't imagine ever cutting ties with my children, but he probably could. I don't care about you or your new wife anymore. What I'm worried about is Grandma. Is she all right? I asked. She's asleep. I've set up a security camera, he said. Unbelievable. Hand over the keys now, Katie demanded, snatching the keys from him and immediately going to check on my mother-in-law. What were you thinking? I've reached my limit. No matter what I do, she's always like this, he said. Maybe she calls for us and not you because you're not really being family to her. Just because you're blood doesn't make you family. If you were truly family, you'd understand what she's trying to say, I said. He looked down, unable to respond. If he had shown regret before, it would have been better. I handed him a brochure I had prepared. I don't plan on remarrying you, but you can't take care of your mother. How about putting her in a care facility? I suggested. I felt more at ease with her in a facility than with him. The brochure was from a facility close to our house, one reason we didn't move far away after leaving our previous home. All right, I'll do it, he agreed. I had achieved my goal. I got divorced, protected my mother-in-law, and ensured we could visit her anytime. So, shall we head to your place? I asked. Wait, does that mean? He started, thinking his remorse had touched my heart. Don't get the wrong idea. I'm just picking up Katie. She ran off without giving me a chance to stop her. It's nighttime, and it's only natural for me to get our child, even if our homes are close by, I clarified. Realizing he had jumped the gun, he looked dejected. Although I returned to our old home after 2 months, I didn't meet my mother-in-law then. I just took my eldest daughter and went straight home. I could meet my mother-in-law any time, so for now, just hearing from my eldest daughter was enough. Grandma said she went hiking yesterday. She's as energetic as ever, Katie said. It's not fair that only Sis got to see Grandma. I wanted to see her too, Jake complained. It's late now, so be patient. We're going to be able to see Grandma from now on. I reassured them. It seems like your plan worked out, Katie said. Yes, I was able to separate him from Grandma. On the way home, I felt so happy thinking about seeing my mother-in-law again that I found myself humming while driving. Later, my mother-in-law entered the care facility. How have you been feeling? I asked. I've been feeling good lately, she replied. According to the staff, when my mother-in-law first arrived, she looked gloomy and didn't speak much. But when my children and I started visiting, her mood gradually lightened and she began talking more. Meanwhile, my ex-husband was left living alone in the old family house. He gave up on his new bride when her parents threatened legal action. I'm really glad he didn't become a stalker, but I bet his girlfriend must have been terrified. As an adult, you need to know when to back off. I later found out he had made a mistake at work. Apparently, it was a big one that got him sidelined. He didn't like it when I was thriving at home while he was struggling at work. Feeling isolated, he sought allies outside and ended up with an 18-year-old girl. His childlike behavior led to our divorce, and he ultimately ended up alone. This took a toll on his mental health, leading to more mistakes at work. He faced demotions and pay cuts. Considering his mental state, I think he should take a break from work, but he probably can't afford to. When we divorced, I agreed not to make a fuss about his affair in exchange for child support. So, he doesn't have much money left, but he needs to pay child support and cover the costs of my mother-in-law's care facility. It's tough when you don't have someone to lean on. I got a job to support my children. Tim is still young, but Katie and Jake are taking care of him. It's really comforting to have someone who genuinely supports you.